For athletes, the ability to push through pain is not just a skill, it's often a necessity. It's part of the training, part of the competition, and deeply ingrained in their mindset. They learn to distinguish between the discomfort of exertion and the warning signs of injury. Ryan, a 34-year-old marathon runner, embodied this ethos. He was no stranger to discomfort, having logged countless miles and endured the predictable aches and pains that come with pushing his body to its limits. But one day, during a routine training run, he noticed a new, unsettling sensation, a persistent shortness of breath that felt distinctly different. It wasn't the familiar burn in his lungs from a hard sprint. It was deeper, more troubling, different from the usual fatigue he'd come to expect after a long run. This felt like something else entirely. Initially he tried to ignore it, but the shortness of breath didn't fade with rest. Instead, it crept insidiously into his daily life, affecting his energy levels and overall well-being. Simple tasks became monumental efforts, making even climbing stairs and carrying groceries home from the store utterly exhausting. He found himself constantly winded and struggling to catch his breath. Still, accustomed to pushing through discomfort, he dismissed it as a sign of age creeping in prematurely, or perhaps just a consequence of overtraining and needing more rest. But when the symptoms persisted and showed no signs of improvement, he finally decided to seek medical advice and saw his doctor, confidently expecting a simple fix, a quick diagnosis, and a straightforward treatment plan that would get him back on the road in no time. The initial diagnosis, based on his symptoms and athletic history, was exercise-induced asthma, a common condition among runners. Reassured by the seemingly simple explanation, he left the doctor's office with a prescription for an inhaler, hopeful that it would alleviate his breathing difficulties. But much to his dismay, the inhaler provided no relief whatsoever. The shortness of breath persisted, casting a shadow of doubt over the initial diagnosis. Ryan's mysterious symptoms, far from being resolved, were only beginning to unfold, revealing a more complex and challenging health puzzle. As the weeks passed without improvement, Ryan's confidence in his body, once unwavering, was deeply shaken, leaving him feeling vulnerable and uncertain about his future as an athlete. Despite diligently using his inhaler, Ryan found himself trapped in a cycle of frustration. The medication, which once offered a semblance of relief, now seemed utterly ineffective. Each puff brought only fleeting moments of ease, quickly replaced by the tightening grip of breathlessness. The simple act of running, once a source of joy and liberation, became an insurmountable challenge. His lungs felt constricted, his body heavy, and each stride was a struggle against an invisible force. Running became impossible, a painful reminder of his declining health. Desperate for answers, he returned to his doctor, hoping for a new direction, a different approach. The doctor, concerned by Ryan's persistent symptoms, ordered a chest X-ray to visually inspect his lungs for any obvious abnormalities. In addition to the X-ray, a series of pulmonary function tests were conducted to assess the capacity and efficiency of Ryan's lungs. These tests aimed to quantify his breathing abilities and identify any potential limitations. To everyone's surprise, both the chest X-ray and the pulmonary function tests came back normal, revealing no apparent cause for Ryan's distress. Yet despite the reassuring test results, Ryan's breathlessness and fatigue only worsened, casting a shadow of doubt over the initial assessments. The disconnect between his debilitating symptoms and the seemingly clear test results presented a perplexing puzzle for both Ryan and his doctor. This contradiction, this invisible ailment, was maddening, leaving Ryan feeling lost and misunderstood. Recognizing the limitations of the initial investigations, his doctor made the crucial decision to refer him to a pulmonologist, a specialist in respiratory health. This referral was born out of the growing concern that something more serious, something more elusive was at play, demanding a deeper level of expertise. For Ryan, this referral was a double-edged sword. Daunting because it acknowledged the complexity of his condition, yet hopeful because it offered the promise of specialized care. It was a sign that real answers, a true understanding of his ailment, might finally be within reach, guiding him toward a path of recovery and restored well-being. The pulmonologist listened carefully and ordered an echocardiogram. The test revealed Ryan's right heart was enlarged and strained, a sign of pulmonary hypertension, where high blood pressure in the lung arteries forces the heart to work overtime. This explained his symptoms but raised new questions. Why was this happening? The diagnosis was serious, but it was only the beginning. The search for the underlying cause intensified. To pinpoint the cause, Ryan underwent a right heart catheterization and a specialized CT scan. The results revealed a rare culprit, pulmonary veno-occlusive disease or PVOD. Unlike typical pulmonary hypertension, PVOD blocks the veins in the lungs, causing dangerous pressure buildup. It's extremely rare and often misdiagnosed. Standard treatments for pulmonary hypertension can be deadly in PVOD, making this diagnosis a critical, life-saving discovery. Pulmonary veno-occlusive disease or PVOD is a rare and devastating condition affecting the lungs. Currently, there is no known cure for this progressive illness. The diagnosis can be a challenging journey, often involving extensive testing and expert consultations to confirm. For those with advanced PVOD, only a double lung transplant offers a beacon of hope, a chance at renewed life and restored respiratory function. This complex procedure requires careful consideration and evaluation to determine patient eligibility. Following his diagnosis, Ryan was placed on the National Transplant List, a registry of individuals awaiting life-saving organ donations. This process involves thorough medical assessments and matching criteria to ensure the best possible outcome. As time went on, Ryan's health continued to decline, and the effects of PVOD became increasingly pronounced. His breathing became more labored and his overall quality of life diminished. Increasingly dependent on supplemental oxygen to maintain adequate blood oxygen levels, Ryan faced the daily challenges of living with a chronic respiratory illness. He waited patiently, yet anxiously, for the call that would signal a donor match had been found, a moment that could change everything. The uncertainty of the wait was a constant source of stress and anticipation. Finally, the call came, and the transplant surgery was a success. The medical team worked tirelessly to ensure a positive outcome, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, almost a year, he could breathe freely, without the constant struggle for air. It was a moment of profound relief and gratitude. The road to recovery was undoubtedly tough, filled with challenges and setbacks. But Ryan faced it with the same unwavering determination and resilience he had always brought to his passion for running, pushing himself to overcome every obstacle. Ryan's story is a powerful testament to the human spirit's capacity for persistence, hope, and the will to fight for a better future, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. It also underscores the critical importance of listening attentively to your body's signals and seeking medical attention when something doesn't feel right. And it highlights the life-saving power of early and accurate diagnosis, which can make all the difference in managing and treating complex conditions like PVOD. Sometimes the hardest and most important race we'll ever run is the race for our own life, a race that demands courage, perseverance, and unwavering hope.